Hi there, thanks for listening to this talk today, which is part 2 of the series for looking after yourself in the holidays. I'm Sophie and I'm one of the wellbeing practitioners here at Centre 33. So to give a bit of an overview of what we'll be talking about today, we're going to start off by thinking about some of the challenges that Christmas can bring. We know that Christmas can be a difficult time for many people for different reasons, and so we're going to think about how the festive period might impact people's mental health and well-being. We then think in a similar way about the days over New Year's and the pressures that can often be associated with those celebrations. We'll also spend some time thinking about the challenges that can be caused for some people by food being such a big part of these festive celebrations. And we're then going to share with you some self-care tips and strategies, things that you can do to look after yourself during this time, including how to problem solve any challenges you foresee happening, how to look after yourself if you're experiencing loss or grief, and ways that you can stay connected. And then lastly, we're going to share with you places that you can go to access support, particularly services that are open over the Christmas holidays, as we know this is often a tricky time for finding support. So why can Christmas be a difficult time for some people? Christmas means different things for different people. It's a cultural and or religious tradition for many in this country, but not everyone celebrates it and not everyone looks forward to it. While Christmas can be a really fun and enjoyable time for some people, it isn't positive for everyone. Problems don't just go away because it's Christmas, and the holiday time itself can be a source of stress and pressure for many people and for a wide variety of reasons. Some people may not have anyone to celebrate Christmas with, which makes it a really tough and lonely time of year. Others might have to spend Christmas with people they don't like and who have a negative impact on their mental health. Those who've experienced a bereavement or loss will likely find Christmas a really painful time. Some people will find the cost of Christmas really stressful and may well be worrying about paying their rent or bills for the month, let alone affording festive food or presents. And this may be particularly difficult this year with the country in a cost of living crisis. Some people may have a difficult relationship with food or alcohol and therefore find celebrations like Christmas, when there's so much emphasis on eating and drinking, feel really stressful and overwhelming. Other people might be feeling pressure to hide certain aspects of themselves and their identity when they're around other people, or feeling pressure to pretend that everything's okay and that they're happy and enjoying themselves, when in fact that isn't the case. As my colleague Rachel talked about in part 1 of this topic last week, the way the media presents Christmas can also set unrealistic and unhelpful expectations for this time of year, which can put pressure on people and cause people to feel bad. It's worth remembering that the posts you see on social media are also unlikely to be realistic representations of people's holidays. It's important to remember that the picture-perfect Christmas rarely exists, and it's okay if your Christmas looks different. These are obviously just a few examples, and there may be many other reasons, but if you can relate to any of these situations, then we want to let you know that it's okay if you aren't looking forward to Christmas. It's absolutely nothing to feel bad about, and you won't be the only one. Hopefully some of the tips we'll be sharing with you in this talk and some of the tips my colleague Rachel shared in part 1 can help you to look after yourself during this time and get through the holidays. Also, there are many people in this country who don't celebrate Christmas, and for those people, Christmas or the holiday period could be tough for other reasons. People might be experiencing stresses and pressures linked to other cultural or religious holidays. They might find it hard to see others celebrating with friends and family on Christmas, particularly if theirs don't live nearby. People might be feeling frustrated by how much emphasis is placed upon Christmas over other holidays, maybe for practical reasons, such as many services being shut or operating on reduced hours over this time, or because other religious and cultural holidays might not be as widely recognised and celebrated. If anyone listening into this doesn't celebrate Christmas, then hopefully you'll still find these tips and strategies helpful for using in other situations. They certainly aren't Christmas specific. The new year can also be a difficult time for people, whether it's feeling pressured to take part in big celebrations, feeling left out of celebrations and so feeling lonely, maybe feeling pressured to be happy and to have a good time. You might be feeling pressure to drink alcohol or drink large amounts or take other substances. Some people might be feeling sad that it's the end of the year and what that might represent for them. Other people might be experiencing difficult feelings about the year ahead. Or it might be something else that you're finding difficult about New Year's. So we wanted to show you a few tips about how to look after yourself over New Year's Eve and day. We would suggest that you take things one step at a time. Remind yourself that New Year's is just 1 or 2 days like any other. Do what you want to do on the day. Try to resist pressures to take part in things you don't want to do or don't feel comfortable doing. It's okay to say no to things and to anything that makes you feel uncomfortable. It's also okay to spend those days doing whatever it is that you want to do. There isn't a right or wrong way to spend New Year's. If you do drink, we'd encourage you to be sensible about how much you drink. Try to avoid mixing different types of alcohol, as that can be dangerous. And ensure that you're eating plenty of food alongside the drink and drinking plenty of water too. So on the subject of food and drink, we now want to spend a little bit more time thinking about this. Food and drink are often a big part of the celebrations around the festive period, and it's perfectly normal to feel worried or anxious about this, especially if you're experiencing difficulties around food. If you can relate to this, then we've got a few tips about how you can look after yourself during this time. Think about who you could share these concerns with. Being able to confide in someone and share how you are feeling can be helpful so that you're not dealing with how you're feeling on your own. And those people could help if something unexpected happens and could support you with any possible triggers or early warning signs that things are feeling difficult. This might be a family member or a friend, but we know that it's not always possible to share these feelings. For some people, planning ahead when you know food is going to be involved, for example around Christmas dinner, can be helpful. Talk about what is worrying you if you can, and plan what you're going to eat and maybe who's going to be there, so that you don't have to make decisions on the spot. You could even have a practice meal beforehand. Maybe you could ask family members if food could be kept away from the main table, or if you could have a meal in a less formal way, like food being served in a buffet rather than a big sit-down meal. It's really important not to change coping techniques that normally help. Just because it's Christmas, that doesn't mean that you have to change. The holidays can be a really challenging time, so it's important that you are able to use your coping strategies. It's good for everyone to be kind to themselves and to practice self-care generally, but these things can be particularly helpful and important if you're finding the festive period tough. Remember to plan in some downtime, that's some time for yourself, away from the food or the drink, and to look after yourself. That might include having a shower, playing a game, brushing your teeth, watching your favourite show maybe, you could try some meditation, painting your nails or playing with a pet. There's not one way to practice self-care, so you do whatever it is that you need to do that's going to help you in the moment. And remember, it's okay to take a break and to have some time to yourself if you need. It can be helpful when you're experiencing intense emotions to distract yourself. This could involve using sensory or fidget toys that could easily be used at the table. Other activities that involve your hands, things like colouring or knitting or sewing, maybe playing an instrument or playing a handheld game, anything that keeps you focused and distracted. Something else that might help is getting a change of scene, so maybe go out for a walk or spend some time in the garden or go to a different room in the house. Remember, you don't have to be on your own and deal with feelings by yourself. Talk to someone you trust and share how you're feeling if you can. You might want to plan in advance for a subtle sign that you can give that person on the day to say that you need a chat or you need some time out. Or there are people that you can speak to anonymously for advice and support online and over the phone, and we're going to share with you which services are available for support over Christmas towards the end. So we're now going to talk through some kind of common worries that people might experience around food and celebrations. So say you're worried about losing control around food. What you could do is maybe make a plan in advance for what any early warning signs are that things are feeling difficult and what might be possible triggers for you. And then think about what could help you to manage those things in the moment. Maybe have a list of distraction techniques to hand. That could be going for a walk, playing a game, maybe talking to a friend or family member. Again, whatever works for you. It might be you're worried that someone could make a comment about your body or about food. And in this instance, maybe you could ask family members who are aware of your difficulties not to make comments about your appearance or food. You could always speak to someone you trust beforehand so that they can support conversations to stay away from those topics, or to support you in the moment if a comment is made. And if a comment is made, try to ignore it and not take it to heart. And then make sure you take some time for yourself to practice self-care. It's absolutely okay to leave conversations that make you feel uncomfortable. The problem-solving strategy we're going to talk about next might help you to plan ahead with some of these things. Another worry might be around how to manage food-based gifts, because these are quite common at Christmas, such as in stocking fillers. You might want to speak to family or friends in advance and ask them actually not to give edible presents this year, or make a plan in advance as to what you're going to do if you are gifted something edible. The organisation BEAT has lots of useful information and advice around supporting eating difficulties. The Mix and Young Minds also have advice on their websites, including tips from other young people experiencing eating difficulties about what helps them at this time of year. So there might be problems that you encounter over the holidays that you're not sure what to do about or how to get around. And so what we want to do now is talk you through a method for problem solving. So say, for example, you've got a family member coming over for Christmas who you don't like and who makes unhelpful or critical comments that make you feel bad. Our ideal solution to this problem might be for that person not to visit or for us not to be there when they do. But if that isn't possible, then it might help to think of other ways around this issue. After identifying the problem, the first step to problem solving is to come up with a list of possible solutions. And it can help to strengthen our problem solving mind and make the activity more fun perhaps in the process to include any and all possibilities no matter how realistic they are. So for this problem, we might come up with this list of possible solutions. We could ignore grandma while she's here, ask mum and dad to uninvite her, confront her when she says mean things, make sure I'm not sitting next to her at the table, ask grandma not to criticise me and explain that it makes me upset. I could remind myself that what she's saying isn't true. I could go to my room after dinner to have a bit of a break. I could call my friend afterwards. Or I could do a self-care activity afterwards. Now remember, at this stage, we're including all solutions, whether or not we think they would work or whether or not we think they're a good idea. And the aim of this is to strengthen our ability to problem solve. So now we need to weigh up each solution and think about the reasons for and against doing each one. So ask yourself whether each solution is possible and what kind of outcome is likely from each. And doing this can help you to work out which ones probably won't work or won't be helpful and which ones might. So for example, for the solution, ignore her while she's here. Is this possible? Well, not really. Reasons for doing this? Well, I wouldn't have to talk to her. But reasons against, it wouldn't stop her saying the mean things, and it might actually make things worse. For the solution, confront her when she says mean things. That might be possible to do, and we might feel like it has its benefits. However, it would be important to think about how we did this. It can be important to assert our boundaries around how we are treated, but it's important to do so in a way that is mindful of others. So saying something like, "Shut up, grandma, get lost," might not be the most helpful way to phrase it. Maybe instead you could say to her, "Please don't say that, it hurts my feelings." Or, "When you say I'm eating too much, that makes me feel bad." Hopefully, once you've gone through each solution like this, it will become clear which one or which ones might be helpful to try. It might be helpful to problem solve any problems that you think could occur over the holidays in advance and come up with a bit of a plan to address them. So in this situation, maybe going to my room after dinner could be a helpful thing to do, or maybe I could call a friend afterwards, but I might want to plan in advance with that friend when I'm going to give them a call to make sure that they're free or to check if they will be free. So now we want to move on to talking a bit more about loss and grief. At Centre 33, we understand that loss comes in many forms and doesn't always involve the death of a loved one. We also know that people experience and cope with loss in different ways, which is perfectly normal and perfectly valid. There's no right or wrong way to feel. It can be a difficult thing to experience at any time of the year, and it can be particularly noticeable and hard to cope with over the holiday season. And some people might be feeling quite anxious or sad about the upcoming holidays because of this. We wanted, therefore, to share with you some tips around managing difficult feelings and around looking after yourself. And these are largely taken from the Service Cruise Bereavement Support. The one thing that might help is consider maybe celebrating in a different way. You might not want to celebrate Christmas at all, and that is perfectly valid. Or you might want to celebrate it still, but perhaps think about doing it a bit differently. Find a way that works for you and that you feel comfortable with. Find ways to remember people. If you want to acknowledge and remember someone, find your own way of doing this. Again, there's no right or wrong way. It's however is most helpful for you. But it's also fine if you don't want to actively remember someone. Find a way to express your feelings. As we've said, everyone copes with difficult feelings in different ways, and it's all about finding a way that's helpful for you. Coping with loss and grief is a really personal thing, so we don't want to tell you how to do it. What we would do is suggest that it's often more helpful in the long run to let you feel your emotions in a manageable and in a healthy way, rather than bottling them up. Try to keep up a routine. We spent a bit of time in part 1 of this topic talking about the benefits of a routine on our mental health, so I'm not going to repeat that. We just wanted to add here that using a routine to create a sense of structure, of certainty and familiarity for you may be helpful if you're having a tough time. Increase self-care. It's important that we look after ourselves generally, but this becomes even more important when we're going through a difficult time, particularly as we may not pay as much attention to ourselves and to our needs. Being kind to yourself is really important. Take things one step at a time and listen to what your body is telling you it needs. And lastly, keep connected. I'm not going to go into this in too much detail, as we're going to cover it on the next slide, but it's really important to find those people that you can talk to, that you feel comfortable talking to, and that you do keep connected. So if someone is finding the holidays a tough time of year, they might start to distance themselves from other people for various reasons. Maybe it's because they're feeling down and so we don't have the motivation to speak to people. Maybe it's us not wanting to feel like a burden to others or like we're bringing the mood down. Or maybe we're not wanting other people to know that we're struggling and so we don't reach out. It might also feel like there's less support available for this time of year. But it can be even more important to keep connected with people who are helpful and supportive during this time. Speaking to others can give you an opportunity for emotional support, for positive and enjoyable experiences that can help to lift your mood, can be a distraction from how you're feeling, and also a reminder that you're not alone. So think about who you can talk to over the holidays and make plans with them in advance. Connect with people who share your values and plan something nice to look forward to after Christmas. Maybe you could have a phone call with a friend at the end of Christmas Day, or arrange to meet up with them a few days later. Maybe you could plan in some quality time with your sibling or your cousin, whether that's over the internet, on the phone, or in person. Connecting with people who care about you, support you, and share your values can also help to counteract any negative impact caused by spending time with people who aren't like this. If you're someone who finds it difficult to open up to people and say that you're not feeling okay, You could try arranging a specific sign with someone in advance that alerts them to the fact that you're not feeling great and need a chat or maybe need some time to yourself. That could be, for example, a specific word that you say to them, an emoji that you text them, or maybe a hand gesture if it's in person. Many organisations and services have reduced hours or closures over Christmas and the New Year. The usual places you would go to for support might not be open, and this could very understandably be making you feel worried. So we wanted to finish this talk today by making you aware of the places that are still open over that time and the services that you can still reach out to. So if you need urgent mental health support over Christmas, we'd really encourage you to contact one of the following. So we've got the First Response Service, Samaritans, Childline for under 18s, Young Minds, Papyrus Hopeline, Calm, and Lifeline for over 18s. You can see all their contact details on the screen there, including when they're available. Most of them are open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Some of them also have a text service or a web chat that you can access via their website if you find it difficult talking on the phone. In terms of other mental health support that's maybe not urgent or not kind of crisis in the moment, the service Proof is open over the Christmas holidays, and they can provide one-to-one live web chat or text messaging support via their website. And their website also has lots of other really useful mental health and wellbeing resources on. There are also some apps that you can download and use for self-help. So Headspace is an app that can support with mindfulness and meditation to help people reduce stress, relax, and build resilience. Calm Harm is a self-help app designed to support you to resist the urge to self-harm. Samaritans have a self-help app to help you keep track of how you're feeling and recommend things that you can do to help yourself cope and stay safe. Think Ninja is an app for 10 to 18-year-olds with information and advice around mental health, emotional well-being, and building resilience. Catch It is an app that supports you to manage feelings like anxiety and depression. It helps you to look at problems in a different way, to challenge unhelpful thoughts, and improve your mental well-being. Chill Panda teaches you ways to relax, to manage worries, and improve your well-being. And the app Colourfy is a digital colouring book designed to support relaxation and meditation. The organisation Beat, which provides support around eating issues and eating disorders, have their helpline open at the times on the screen there, and they also have online support groups. The National Domestic Abuse Helpline is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, all year, and again, their numbers on screen there. The organisation's Switchboard have their LGBTQ+ support helpline open from 10 AM to 10 PM at that number there. Bear in mind that calls may cost that number. For non-emergency support around physical health issues, you can contact the NHS by calling 111. May also be that local pharmacies are open and available to offer support, but do check those times in advance, as some may have reduced opening times over Christmas. And lastly, for any emergency support, obviously do call 999 or go to your local A&E department. We also wanted to make those of you all who already use or maybe might need to use a food bank aware of changes to their opening times over the holidays. Food banks are places that provide emergency food and supplies to people in need. Our colleagues at Centre 33 on our frontline team can talk to you more about food banks and how the process works, and can issue you with a voucher that you would then need to take with you to one of these locations to get the food. Other services and professionals can also issue vouchers such as health visitors, social workers, doctors, and citizens' advice. So the dates in bold are days when a food bank is open, and the links underneath both Peterborough and Cambridge take you to websites which also list other winter support hubs and community food support that's available in December and over the Christmas period. Again, we've got the opening times and the closure days for Wisbech, Godmanchester, and Ely food banks on this slide. And then the information for food banks in March, Waterbeach, Cottenham, Haddenham, Chatteris and Soham. And lastly, we just wanted to remind you about Centre 33's closure dates over Christmas. So our frontline support is closed from Friday the 23rd of December. So the last day to get in touch is Thursday the 22nd, and we're open until 5 p.m. on that day. We then reopen on Thursday the 5th of January from 12 noon onwards, and you can get in touch with us then in the usual ways, so by phone, by text or WhatsApp, by email, or by coming along to one of our drop-ins at one of our hubs around Cambridgeshire and Peterborough. Our usual helpline opening times are Monday to Friday 12 till 5 and Saturday 10 till 1. So thank you for listening to this talk. We really hope that you found it helpful and have some tips to try and look after yourself in the holidays.